I'm your host, Nadine of 818 Events, and this is the 818 and Conversate podcast. Every episode is going to feel like a spontaneous road trip with your closest friends, so bring your luggage because we'll be unpacking everything. I'm going to be joined by an awesome passenger every now and then, and who knows, we might even pick up a hitchhiker along the way. Picture this, you're vibing, spilling the tea, storytelling, reminiscing, manifesting even. There might also be a little detour of controversy here and there, and we may have to pump the brakes when shit gets too real. But it will always be a good-ass conversation and the road trip that you don't want to end. Episodes will drop the 8th and the 18th of every month, so in the spirit of a dope road trip, be sure to grab your travel snacks, crank up the volume, hop in the whip, and let's ride! Hey guys, this is episode 5 of 818 and Conversate, and I'm here with my friend Betsy, and I'm so excited to start this episode with her because I've known her story for quite some time, and to see her progress is incredible. So I'll have her introduce herself in a second, but this episode is all about practice what you preach, saying what you mean and meaning what you say. And I know that's probably pretty obvious, but when it comes to her business and her growth, I think that it really applies to like the determination to keep her brand really consistent and like, you know, the meaning behind your brand. So introduce yourself.
I am Betsy Campos. I'm the founder of Ūnika Swim. That's what most people know me as. And yeah, I'm from Toronto, I would say. And
her shop is in like the prime location in Toronto. Like Yorkville is like the Itville of where to shop in Toronto. So
yeah, we're in Yorkville. We've been in Yorkville. We're turning 3 this month, which is so crazy to me, just because I feel like it's been such a long journey.
3 years probably feels like 10.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years is like just storefront, but like the journey to get to 3 years, I feel like sometimes I even forget. So I need to like remind myself. Like,
yeah, girl, you put the work in.
This has been a journey. But I'm excited. I'm so excited, and I'm also super stoked because I feel like you've known me from like when I was in school first year, hustling, running from my internship to, and it's crazy because you met, I don't even know how we met, but I know that we connected at Equinox.
Yeah,
at Equinox like years ago. And I remember I was going from like school to Equinox to, my internship to, I was working in nightlife at a time, so I feel like you've seen the whole journey of then to what it is now. So it's exciting to, be able to share the story and sit down and reflect with you as well.
No, honestly, I like coming here today. I was telling him like I'm so nervous, and not nervous in a bad way, like nervous in an excited way, because I'm like I feel so prepared and like I know this person's story like from the outset. Yeah. So like I was really excited to do this. So okay, I know you. Yeah. So, and I know tidbits of who you are from before the brand kind of like, got to where it is. But like, tell me a little bit about who Betsy is before Ūnika.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to say, I was in my 20s when I realized I wanted to do this. I'm 29 now. I feel like a lot of people don't really know me behind the brand because I've always been such a private person.
Yes,
but if you know me, then you know what's up. But yeah, prior to this, I was just, I was raised by a single mother. I grew up in an at-risk neighborhood in Toronto in a government housing project. Mm-hmm. So I feel like as a child of that system, you're already set up for failure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that about me. So from a young age, I knew that I did not want to be a product of my environment. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you work hard, you don't need to be. So I grew up with a single mom who was always working. Work ethic was something that was instilled in me at a young age. I was always busy. I was definitely not a problematic child. Weekends, karate, swimming, gymnastics. I was so busy, and she kept me so busy that there was no opportunity.
No distraction to do the bad shit.
Yeah, rec center on the, weekdays after school. And that was just kind of my lifestyle. When I could finally work, I had a job, and I got addicted to making my own money because my mom couldn't buy me anything. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I had the opportunity to make my own money, I've worked at all: cashier, retail. I've worked, day camps. I've done it all growing up.
You were a camp counselor girl too? Say with me.
Yeah, girl. You know what? And
in your neighborhood too?
Yeah. In the same rec center that I grew up in. And I think it's so important to learn these skills that you use later on in life. So from a young age, I was a hustler. Like I was working 3 jobs at a time in high school. You know, I positioned myself where I didn't have a 4th period class. Like I was able to leave school earlier
to start work.
Start work.
I
like
know that life.
You know, and I gave up getting good grades because I wanted to make money, which, you know, wasn't great at the time, but you got to do what you got to do. And that's just who I was. I knew that I had potential from a young age, and determination. And I also knew that I didn't want to work for someone. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs know that
from the beginning.
Age. I didn't do well with authority. I didn't like being told what to do. So I feel like
nothing about that shocks me.
I feel like that's who I was. I think that I was going through a transitional state, and because my mother was a single mother who, you know, wasn't around to be like, you got to do this, it really allowed me to like explore and dibble and dabble. I'm the type of kid that's like, you know, don't touch that, it's hot. Like I'm gonna touch it, see how hot it is. Like that's just how I am and how I've always been. So, you know, her not being a strict parent really helped me to, you know, explore what do I want to do for me. And if it cost me that later on down the, you know, life path, it would, but it didn't, and here we are.
I think it teaches you hard lessons later on down your path.
I think that like your greatest teacher is your last mistake, you know? So did I take a few L's
along the way?
Absolutely. But, you know, I learn and I pivot and I transition to what is my next step. So,
So
that's me.
Funny, because you mentioned that, you know, we met in the gym. I worked at the gym. I was the same way, right? Like
girl.
I was like the hustle girl. Like I would run from one job. I worked full time, and then I'd have 15 minutes to run to the next job, and then I worked a night job. You know, I have a 3-hour window, nap, eat, and start my next job. So I totally get it. But I know, because I've seen you through the gym life, like health and wellness is like huge to you. So how did that, you know, and you said as a kid you were doing every type of activity possible to keep busy, but like how does that kind of play into like who you are and who or what you created with this brand as well? And we'll get more into the brand, but like,
ooh, okay. Well, I would say like, you know, I wasn't super athletic growing up. A lot of people look at me now and they're like, oh, you must have played sports. I'm tall. I'm 5'11". People don't really realize that until they see me in person, and they're like, whoa, like you're tall.
She's all legs.
Yeah, like I was athletic, but I didn't really love the gym. Growing up, I think that the gym was something I started when I was 19. It's actually 10 years this month that I've been working on the gym, but I just love the feeling of like clarity for my mind. I think that, you know, everyone has their vice. I'm not really a drinker. I don't really smoke, and I just love having like 2 hours for myself in the gym every day to like set my intentions and like clear my mind. I think that I started educating myself a lot more on machinery and like how to use machines in the gym, because as a female, like it's intimidating. You walk into a gym,
that's my issue.
You don't know what you're doing. So I actually did I went to Good Life and I did the CanFit Pro certification program.
Oh wow!
I just didn't get certified as a personal trainer, but I wanted to like learn a bit more and be more comfortable around machines. But wellness definitely is more of like, you know, showing up for yourself in the gym. I think that a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy. I am super busy.
Why? Because you still make the time for it?
I still make the time, but I think that in life you make time for what you want to make time for. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think the commitment to that is a demonstration of your commitment to things that are important to you in general.
Yeah,
so like,
and like I'm a selfish person. Like I'll say that. Like I'm selfish with my time because I carry a lot of weight with the business, and I love the gym. You know, I make time for the gym. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. A lot of people don't know that. You know, they look at me and they're like, how do you run this business and go to the gym? But I choose to go to bed at 9:30 at night and wake up at
yesterday.
4. Except for yesterday. I was up, but yeah, like I have a routine, and I think that when you have a routine and you stay committed to your routine and you are disciplined, I think, you know, showing up to the gym for myself really showed me, you know, as an entrepreneur, like no one's gonna wake you up in the morning to get, you know, shit done. Like you gotta show up and get it done. And that I think that you either have that or you don't. You can learn it, but to really practice and preach that and
it needs to be ingrained in you.
It needs to be like really ingrained in you.
See, that's why, you know, it took me a little while to come up with the topic for this episode, because when I think of you, I can think of so many things. Like the last episode I did was all about the hustle, you know, and like that's something that applies to you. And like you can think of entrepreneurship and you know, a new business owner, or we can talk about the struggles of COVID and business and all of this stuff right now. But one of the biggest things that I've learned about you, especially in relation to this brand, is the commitment to, like, you know, what the vision you had for it was from the minute you created this idea to making it what it is right now. So let's jump into that a little bit. You know, so I don't know if I'm allowed to bring this up, but like Betsy was a pageant girl back in the day. So I don't know if she like flaunts that, but like, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm personally curious, like, how did that play into, you know, like part of the origination of this brand?
Oh my gosh, absolutely not. My mom is probably gonna watch this. Sorry, mommy. Like, I did this, or I did that. Sorry, not this. I did the pageant. My parents are Brazilian, and I'm not really involved in the Brazilian community in Canada. My mom was like, "Can you please like do this pageant? Like, I just really want you to do this pageant."
She just knows you're fabulous.
Yeah, if you know me, then you know, like, I am a tomboy. Like, I would say I'm a tomboy. Like, I love like hoodies and like sweats, and like I'm not super girly at all.
Yeah.
Like, you will not catch me wearing pink or purple or any of those colors. So for me, it was like something that I would never do, but I was like, you know what? I'm like, my mother's never really asked me to do anything, so let me just do it. And I did it. And I didn't care for this thing, but I ended up winning. And
I can't help but laugh at that, because it was like the girl that had zero interest in it. Well, like zero, but like just did it.
To this thing.
Like,
it was literally just, I had one table. Like every other contestant sold like 10 tables. Like,
yeah, because they were
I didn't promote
determined.
it. Like, it was just like.
How old were you when you did this?
I think I was like 18.
Okay.
Yeah, 18. And I ended up winning, but I also ended up passing my title because I just didn't want, like, I wasn't passionate about it. And I feel like I'm a type of person where
you want the follow through if you're passionate about it.
I'll never do something unless I'm into it. And I think that that's such an important thing for people to really be honest with themselves. And that's something that, like, even 2020 really instilled more in me, is that, like, if I don't want to do something, like, I'm not going to do it just to do it. If I'm not happy doing it, like, I'm not going to do it. Like, I started saying no and protecting my peace. And I feel like so many more opportunities came my way.
Yeah, because my mom used to say, if you don't move from beside the shit, you don't smell the fresh air.
Yeah.
And it's literally the equivalent of that, right? Like, if you continue to block your, like, your blessings and the things that are coming in your way with shit that's not meant for you and is not your purpose, then you will literally lose every opportunity. So you start seeing more come your way when you filter that shit out.
And I feel like I was taking the opportunity from people that actually wanted to do this. Like, at the time, I was also like, I was busy. Like, I had like 3 jobs. I was, you know, I used to model. Like, I don't think a lot of people, if you know me from back in the day, you would know that. Like, I was signed to an agency. Like, I was doing gigs all the time. And like, I didn't have time to do like these things they wanted me to do. So, you know, people were shocked when I was just like, here's my title and my crown. But for me,
she's like, I'm out. I won. Deuces. I proved my point.
But yeah, I passed my title and I'm so happy I did. And yeah, I was just like, this is not for me. I just did this for my mom. I ended up winning. This is great. Like, but this is not for me. Let someone else that really wants this and is passionate about this
pursuing
have this opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely did not play into this at all. Funny. But yeah, really funny. I can't believe I won a pageant.
So tell me, how did this brand originate? Like, have you made swimwear for any pageants? I'm just curious.
No, they actually approached me. Like, I have like Miss Universe Canada, or I always have them reach out, but I'm just at a point right now where I can say no. Like, in the beginning,
yes, girl.
I was like, in the beginning, I was taking everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. Like, you know, Drake's restaurant opened up. Like, we got to do the uniforms.
Yep.
Cabana, the date club.
Yep.
Lavelle, the date club. Like, I had all the major contracts in the city, but I was stressing my team out. And I'm like, you don't really need this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that was also an issue as a startup company. It was like, not letting opportunities pass me. I felt like I had to say yes. You know, I wanted to please people. I wanted to never say no because I was scared that I wouldn't get another opportunity. And now I'm like, I know we're good. Like,
to your own horn, girl.
Yeah, like, I know we're good. And like, if you want our stuff, like even influencers, for instance, like, you know, there's influencers I work with and there's influencers that really want stuff. But I knew that we were good when like these larger influencers were buying our stuff. I was like, okay, we're good. We don't
on the
need
map.
to say yes anymore. But yeah, I feel like, yeah. Yeah, I'm just like
so
reflecting. I'm like,
I know you're taking a moment, right? tell me about how it started, because
yeah, for sure. So
some people know, but some people
that don't know. So I grew up with Brazilian parents. Well, my mother, singular. She would take me to Brazil every summer, and you know, swimwear in Brazil is a whole other world. Like there are so many options, and I would come back after summer.
At least bottoms for sure, because there's a lot of
tops
topless
and
right?
bottoms. Yeah, we're topless in Brazil. Just show it all. But like I just felt like there was such a huge gap when I would come back to North America, and you know, my friends would be like, "Oh my gosh, like I love that bikini." And back in the day, like I was 15. 16 at the time, like I was already wearing cheeky cuts because in Brazil, like if you know Brazil, we wear like
your
thongs.
body's out,
you're like full exposed. So in the beginning, people were like, I can't believe you wear that, and then people started becoming comfortable with it. And now it's like everyone's wearing a thong. You know, even 13-year-olds that come see me,
I know,
like,
it's
I want that,
nuts.
and I'm like, you should not be wearing that. But yeah, it kind of started with me realizing that there was a like gap within the market. There was no swimwear here available, which was one issue. And I feel like as Canadians, we travel down south when it's cold. So, you know, I would go try to find a swimsuit at the mall, but during November, December, there's
can't
like
find
nothing
shit.
unless you're going to Ardennes.
Yep.
Or like, I don't know, I'm not spending $300 on a bathing suit at that time. There was like this gap. And also another issue was the people only sold sets. Like it was like you had to buy like a small set. Like there was no like top sold and bottom.
I'm smirking because like I have experienced the struggles.
Yeah, and like I'd have to buy two swimsuits to get
to mix and match.
To make my set. And I didn't understand that, you know. And then shopping with my mom, who isn't plus size but is a larger woman. It's, you know, you're size 14 and up, like you gotta go over there and shop.
Scour
and
into a
we
different
only
section.
have like these prints available. And I was like, why is it like this? Like, why is it so hard to find a bathing suit? And then just like my friends and women in general complaining, you dread it. Like it's the worst thing to do. So for me, I was kind of like, you know, I knew I wanted to go into swimwear. Like I knew that swimwear was something that I wanted to do, and I knew that I was never going to compete with, you know, fast fashion brands. That was something that I did not want to compete with, because, you know, I love the ocean, and I feel like I'm really caught up with what's going on in the world, and I feel like a lot of people are not. So I was like, if I can educate my consumer with what's going on in the world and make swimwear that is
making a difference,
trendy, sustainable, and inclusive. So I was like, okay, I've got all these pointers. What else can I do that's different? But then it was like, how do I take the frustration out of finding a swimsuit? So my boyfriend at the time was in finance, and he would get tailored suits made. And I remember being with him at one of his appointments and just watching how
the customization
process happened. And
the way it makes you feel too.
Yeah,
to feel like something is personal to you.
Like that whole like experience. Like you come in, you have a glass of scotch, you're catching up with your tailor, you're trying things on, you get to customize everything and border it. And I was like, wow, like this is so cool. Like I wish that there was something like this for swimwear.
Yeah.
And there definitely is custom swimwear, but not custom to like how custom we go. So that was kind of when the idea triggered. And people thought I was crazy. When I started telling people, I was like, I'm going to do custom swimwear. And they're like, you know, it's not going to work. Like that concept won't work. I was shut down like immediately.
Who were you shut down by? Just like friends,
just like people that have never, and I think that in life, like I feel like in life, like when it hasn't been done, like people are always intimidated by ideas, but because of where I come from and like what I've gone through in life, I had nothing to lose. You know what I mean? So like I had tunnel vision, and I still have tunnel vision, and there was like nobody that was going to tell me otherwise. I was like, you know, banks, like when I was trying to start up, I was going to the bank, and I was trying to start this at 22. I was in school, and I'll touch base on that. But, you know, I was going to banks, and they're like, oh no, like you have no credit backing. You're too young. Like we have no proof of this concept. Like this isn't going to work. You need a guarantor to sign. Yeah. You need a co-signer. Yeah. And, you know, it's frustrating because you're putting all this energy into it, and being told that your idea is not shit. Yeah, it's like not essentially have the value shit. That like you it's not gonna work. Yeah. So, you know, I took it with a grain of salt, and I feel like for me in the beginning, I was so sensitive to constructive criticism. I was very annoyed, you know, but because of jobs that I was working at the time, so fast forward to, you know, 19, I was working in nightlife. So I was used to working with men and dealing with that male energy. Yeah.
And a little bit of abrasiveness.
Yeah. A little bit of like the male skin. Energy is very different. So if you go to banks, majority of the time it's men. You know, anyone that has any authorization is a man or a male. So because I was dealing with that in nightlife, and I had the confidence to speak and put my foot down, I didn't really get sensitive when they were telling me no. I was just like, I'm like, you're gonna see me in a few years. I'm coming back in a few years, don't worry. So yeah, I was being told no, you know, even in school. It was like, so let's touch base on that, my journey. You know, I'm 19, I'm 20, I want to do swimwear. I know what I want to do, and my boyfriend at the time was like, Betsy, you're working 3 jobs right now. Like,
how are you gonna do this?
Like, you need to go back to school. And I had already gone to school for culinary arts, and I dropped out. LOL, I wanted to be a chef. I don't know what I was thinking, but it just, again, wasn't for me.
You also had a pageant. You did want to do that. So.
Yeah, I dropped out of that, and I was like, I'm not going to school unless like I'm 100% sold on what I'm going to school for. Yeah. And I didn't want to spend 4 years of my life in university. I was like, I'm not going to go to university for fashion, because if you know the fashion industry, like there's no job opportunities, especially in Canada. Yeah. So I was like, look, I'll go to college. I'll do a college program. It's 2 years. And he really pushed me to get into that program. I got in. I was doing the program, and in school, again, they're trying to prep you for the fashion industry. Yeah. I already knew I wanted to do what I was doing going in there. So again, the same professors, same teachers are like, Betsy, this concept, like, we don't really know. You have to know who your target demo is. And I was like, my target demo is every woman. Like, I don't understand how you guys don't understand my concept. So it was frustrating. You know, I was in school, I was finishing school, and like people didn't really know my leverage at the time, because, you know, little did they know, like I had already been working in the clubs for
You already had
8 years.
The demographic.
Like, I had the demo. I had my connections. I had, you know, I was saving money. Like I saved a lot of money, and, you know, working in the nightlife industry as a girl in a great city at great venues, like you can make a lot of money, like cash. So, you know, my pre-COVID. And I was fortunate enough to have really good managers at venues I worked at, and they gave me great tables, and I had my clients that I would book, and I made money, and I saved my money. I didn't spend my money on stupid, foolish stuff. And when the time came, okay, so I'm in school, I graduate school, and when I was going to school, my boyfriend had said something to me, and he's like, Betsy, he's like, when you're going to school, he's like, you're not there to impress your professors, you're there to impress your class, your peers. And I didn't know what he meant at the time, and I was like, okay, like whatever. I was like, I don't even know what that means, but cool. So when I graduated, I was working out of his den. Yeah, he had a gaming den. This is when we met. So he had a gaming den. And I was convinced that I was going to convert his gaming den into like my mini factory. So he was like, I convinced him. I was like, babe, I'm ready. I'm going to buy my machinery. Yeah. And he thought I was being crazy. I'm like, I just need the green light. And he was like, okay. He's like, I'm going to allow you to do that. go for it. The next day I was already painting the room. I had dropped like $20K on machinery.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my machines are very expensive. But I got the best of the best. You know, I installed silent motors on my machines because as soon as I showed up at the condo, you know, the superintendent's like, you can't have machines in the condo. And I'm like, well, no one's going to know because I got silent motors and I got the best of the best.
Yeah.
So he was kind of thrown off. So we started in the den. You know, in the den. So I'm in the den, I'm finishing school, and I knew that I needed experience. I think that this is a common mistake in the fashion industry with people not wanting to learn before they jump.
Yeah. They just want to jump in.
They just
like,
want to
all
jump.
the way
And listen, like if I had mommy and daddy being like, here's $2 million, I probably would have jumped too, but I didn't have that. And I had to be very, very strategic and strategize on like, how am I going to do this? So I found an internship in the middle of nowhere. And when I mean it was in the middle of nowhere, like my boyfriend drove me there and he's like, you're not working here. And I was like, I'm going to work here.
Oh my
goodness.
Goodness.
And he's like, babe, he's like, you are not going to work here. I'm like, I sat in his car because I didn't drive at the time. I'm like, I'm going to work here. I'm like, I'm going to learn from this woman. So yeah, I got the internship. It took me 4 methods of transportation to get there a day, God. $32 a day. And it took me.
So she was spending money.
I was spending money to learn. And it took me almost 3 hours to get there and back every day. And that's something that I always tell people. I was so eager to learn that I didn't care. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm not going to forget that, you know, I was in a fortunate position where I was working nightlife where I made good money. Yeah. So I was able to work an internship where I didn't have to stress about financial positions.
Yeah, and you could align the time
exactly.
that you were, you know.
So I will say that because, you know, I don't want people canceling me. But yeah, I was interning for this woman. I was taking 4 methods of transportation, but I was learning and I was so eager to learn. Like my friends were like, you're crazy. Like I would never. So I was there for 2 years. I studied her business. I worked for her.
And that was swimwear?
Yeah. So I was her seamstress, which is hilarious. Like the fact that I was a seamstress. And it's great. Like I have a great team, but it's like thinking about my journey. Sometimes I'm like, wow, like it really has been a journey. So I worked for her for 2 years. I was there, you know, I was studying her. I was figuring out her model. I was trying to figure out like, what was she doing wrong? And I was making mistakes on her dime. So as soon as I had the 2 years down packed, you know, so now I'm done school. I'm interning for her. I'm working nightlife.
Yep. Saving some money.
And I'm working out of my den and I'm starting to see friends and family for swimsuits. So what happened was I'd be like, hey, if you're going on a trip, like come see me for a swimsuit because I need Instagram posts. Yeah. So I would make like my friends an Instagram suit. Yeah. And they go on vacation and they like post. And then what started happening was the word of like custom swimwear started coming out. Yeah. So people were coming to see me at the den in the condo. And it got to a point where I would call my boyfriend and be like, don't come home till 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
like, there's girls here.
I have people
coming. So, you know, it just started growing and growing and growing. And it got to a point where it was like strangers that I didn't know coming to see me in our home. And that's when I was like, okay, I think we need a space. So he was like, Betsy, I'm not doing this no more. Like, I need to come home. Like, you can't be doing this in our home. Like
at all hours.
All hours. And I was like, you don't understand. This is what I want to do. So he was super supportive. But I knew that I had outgrown the space. And mind you, the den was like 5 by 6. So it was so tiny. I had 3 or 4 industrial machines crammed in there. And it was just me at the time. It didn't
stop people from coming.
It didn't stop people from coming. Yeah. So now, like, fast forward, you know, I was looking at spaces. I was so stressed out, you know, as a small business owner who's 23 at the time, going to banks, knocking on banks and being like, hey, like, this is my concept. This is what I want to do. And being told like, it's not going to work out. I was just annoyed, but I was like, you know what, whatever. Like, I'm going to figure it out. So I just kept working in nightlife, saving. And
it's funny because I remember you, like when we sat down and you like announced this plan to me, I remember your determination to get out of the nightlife to make this happen. But I remember you saying how that struggle to get like the established and the established aspect and the financial aspect So you did, like, the nightlife had to continue for like a while after the fact.
For sure. Yeah. So I was still working nightlife. Like, I was working nightlife up until I got the space, and then a year after that. So I was looking for a space. I finally got a space, and you know, it happened so fast that like I just jumped. It was like, I'm not a jumper, but I just jumped. You know, it was like, hey, we have this space on Yorkville Avenue. If you want to pop up for 6 months, we can totally do that. Let us know if you're interested. And I was like, tell me where to sign. I'm down. And like, for those of you guys who don't know, Yorkville is like the Beverly Hills of Toronto. Yeah. So here I was at like
Rodeo Drive.
Yeah, Rodeo Drive. So I took the opportunity. We turned the space over in 3 weeks. I opened my doors. I did not even have a website. It was literally just me and one person that I had hired. So like, going back to that quote that my boyfriend had said about, you know, you're not here to impress your professors, you're here to impress your peers. When it was time to hire someone for the company, I was like, oh my gosh, who do I hire? And that's when it hit me. I was like, wow, like peers. I'm going to hire the people that impressed me in school. Yep. So that was also a funny turning moment, because when I started posting job opportunities, like all these people in fashion school that were like either mean or like didn't want to help me out,
hilarious.
Or like didn't want to like help.
Did not the tables
help
turn
me out and like lend me their ruler. We're coming in to apply and be like, oh, you work here, and I'm like, no, like this is mine. It was like one of those moments where I was like, aha,
I love those
hello,
moments.
yes,
Aha moment.
So I had hired one girl, so it was now, you know, we have a storefront.
Thank you for her sharing her ruler.
So much for lending your eraser.
Yeah.
So now it's me and it's Esther that I had gone to school with.
Yeah.
It's her and me in this store. I opened my doors in Yorkville. I didn't know what to expect. I was so overwhelmed. I'll never forget.
And let me just say this. We're in the shop right now recording. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see. But if you're just listening, she's not in Yorkville, like on a side street around the bend, like underneath a store. She's like prime real estate, like the main strip across from like the Chanel store. Okay. So like people were seeing what you're doing. You were around. Like,
yeah, I had opened my doors and the orders started coming in. And I was like, holy shit. Like, not only like, is it working, but like, I need more people. Like, there's no way like we're going to be able to get this done with 2 people. So, you know, from 2 people, I grew to 6 people within a year. That first year, like our numbers, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is actually working. Like this is a thing. And like, mind you, I had no website. I wasn't spending $1 in marketing or advertising. It was just prime location
and word of mouth.
And it's still word of mouth. Like I don't even spend on marketing. Like if you know,
she does not really advertise. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how it was born. So again, you know, to summarize, we had a space. I wanted to do custom swimwear, and the whole custom concept, I feel like a lot of people don't really know how custom we go. So what happens is you come in, you book a fitting, you pick from a style book that has like 200 options in it. Sheesh. I have 1 piece, 2 pieces, tankinis, anything that you need. And then you get to try it on. So all of my samples are made up from extra small to 4XL officially as of this year.
Yes, congratulations. That's like a new, you know, a new
I'm really
incredible thing to hear from one brand.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like we've always been inclusive, but like 4XL was like,
it's a whole learning curve, right? Like you got to learn.
And like listening to women in general. So like that's the whole concept is you come in, you pick your suit and then you try it on and you make adjustments. So if you want more coverage, less coverage, if you want like push up padding, underwire, you do that. And then there's like a whole wall of like fabrics to pick from. That's like 150 options. So you're basically building your suit from scratch and then everything is like cut and sewn in-house by us.
And how good does that feel?
It's good. I feel like honestly, even with COVID, like people are like, yo, are you guys good? And I'm like, yeah, like I don't deal with like, you know, everything here is made to order. I don't really have dead stock. You know, does it cost me in the long run? Maybe, but it saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars because I'm looking at big brands and I'm like, you guys are screwed.
Yeah, I know. What are you supposed to do with all that extra stuff?
Yeah, so like,
and I guess once you've ordered with you once and you've done a fitting, like, you know, if you
people know what they like.
Yeah, they know what they like. They know what their fittings are like. They can adjust something accordingly.
Yeah, so. And like, you know, I deal with like all types. People always think like, oh, you just deal with like younger girls. And I'm like, no, like, you know, and that's another issue, social media. You know, in the beginning, I was so like strung up on like followers. I was like, oh my gosh, we only have like 6,000 followers. And my boyfriend's like, who cares? Like, who cares about that? Like, your numbers are good.
Keeps nodding
like,
his head because we just had this conversation yesterday.
Who cares? Like, people don't know
People are
what you're
walking in.
doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your average bill, like look at your bills versus like social media. Like, who cares about social media? So like for me, you know, I was young at the time. I had to learn, like, Betsy, stop caring about social media. And, you know, I have like executives and COOs that come see me that are conservative. They don't even go on social media. I have 13-year-olds that come see me. You know, majority of my social media is younger girls that post trendy swimsuits, but I had to learn that my consumer might not be on social media, and they're not. You know, I deal with the younger teeny boppers, I like to say. I'm dealing with like moms that are going through transitional stages of their bodies, you know, becoming a mom. Who is my new identity? What is my new identity? I deal with women that have gone through cancer treatments, mastectomies, surgical procedures. I deal with transgender community. I deal with older women who just want to, you know,
feel more comfortable.
Like I deal with people in general that, you know, have gone through you know, a reference, I had a woman come in and she is paralyzed like half her body. So she's like 2 different sizes. Like every day is a new day here, and like you don't know who's walking in. And I think that that's like such a great thing here.
I know you probably, you know, it must feel so gratifying to sit down with somebody and like make something happen for them that they otherwise probably wouldn't have felt that they've been able to get. Like when I think my mom passed, but she had a mastectomy prior to her passing, and she was a seamstress like in her earlier years, so she was sewing all the time. So she was making herself like fillers for her bikinis because like she didn't know how to, and this is a woman that like mowed the lawn in her bikini. Like my mom lived and died in her like sun and bikini. Girl. Yeah, so like she wanted to still feel like feminine and still feel sexy, right? So like she was adjusting bikinis herself to feel that, because you don't just have the opportunity to walk into a store and purchase something like that.
And that's the thing. People are always like, oh, it's just swimwear. And I'm like, no, like not here. Like not in my shop. Like not in my
it's an experience. Yeah.
Home. Like this is like a safe space for women. And I'm so happy that I've been able to create a space where, you know, that you can be vulnerable with me. Like the other week, for instance, I had a fitting and, you know, I was trying so hard not to cry. Like sometimes I'm in the room with these women and I'm like, oh my God, like I might cry. And like, if you know me, you know that I'm such a tough girl.
Yeah. She's like tough, but like tough on the exterior, but she's like a soft heart. Like
I was just like, I was listening to her, and, you know, she's a woman that has lost 3 babies and was pregnant all 3 times. And she's lost all 3 kids, and she went through a depressive stage, and she had gained, you know, 40 kilos, and she had just like lost weight, and she was just like beating herself up in the room with me. And I was just like looking at her and I'm like, girl, like you're alive. You almost died giving birth to your last baby. You made it. You're on this route to losing weight, and you're at your happy point right now. And like, let's embrace you for who you are.
And you got the confidence to come here.
Yeah. And share your story. And she was just like, you know, thank you so much for existing. Like, I wish like you guys existed. Like this is so good. Like we need more of this. And I was just like, you know, sometimes I forget the journey, and then I have like these types of experiences, because sometimes people don't know, like coming in here, they're getting fitted and they're like, oh, like this is such a cool thing. Like who owns this? And I never tell people who I am, because I just like, I'm always like, I'm the founder. I'm the founder. I'm the founder. There's no name tag here.
Owner.
But then there's people that, you know who I am, and they're like, wow, like she knew who I was. She's like, I can't believe that you're fitting me. Like this is such an honor. And like for me, I was like, oh my God. Like
no, like I feel like
I forget the journey. I'm like, wow.
I feel like Betsy doesn't even like I feel like you don't even take a moment sometimes to like soak it all up. I mean, I was here when you did the launch of the store. Like you opened the store, you did your like grand opening thing, and I remember hearing you speak and like share this story and like what the intentions were and all of that. And like, I think everyone in the room was kind of like, hold on, you did this, Betsy. Like you did this. Like, yeah, you've had help and you've had like personal relationships that helped guide you. But like, you did this, girl. Like your upbringing, your mom, your hustle, you're like, fuck the pageant. Like all that got you here, you know? And like, I feel like for people to look into the brand, to be a customer of the brand, to see it come to fruition, and like then to be in a room in such an intimate space and sharing such an intimate moment, and then to know that you are you that created this like thing, like you got to give yourself your flowers.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes
you know,
I'm
like,
like, hey, Bets, like you gotta like, it's just, you know what it is? It's just like people are like, you must be so proud of yourself, and like, listen, I am, but like I'm not even where I want to be.
Yes,
like
I'm
not even where I want to be yet. Like this is like,
she's like, I ran 10K this morning, but she wants to run 20.
No, I'm not even where I want to be. Like it's also been, you know, a trial and error.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy route because the concept that I'm doing doesn't really exist. So it's like the past 3 years have just been like, is this working? Is it not working? How do we tweak this? Like, how do we make this better? Like, we're really trying to dummy proof the concept so that I can scale. Like, that is my goal. My goal is to get this into the US. Like,
I was just
know
gonna
it's gonna
say,
happen.
like, I need to see it.
Yeah,
coming.
like, and you know what? I know what's gonna happen. I think that the universe, like, when you work hard at what you do, even my first year, I had someone from Dubai come in and they're like, I'm gonna offer you this. Like, we want to buy this concept. And at the time, I was like, no, like, I'm just starting. Like,
yeah,
no,
this is my baby.
This is my
if
child.
they veer it the wrong direction.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm so
disappointing.
you know, possessive of this because this has been like a decade of my life, and like people only see 3 years, but like they don't see like me taking 4 methods of transportation and working eight years of nightlife and like
the den. They don't see the den.
They don't see the den. They don't see the L's I took and stuff like that. So for me, you know, and I have people that come fly in from the States to come see me. So like I knew the day that someone was like, oh no, like I flew in from New York because like I want to get suits. And I was like, you came from New York? So I'm like, what are you doing in Toronto? They're like, oh, I came to see you. And I was like, what? Like this is a thing? Yeah, she got like quite a few and she's still a client. So yeah, sometimes I forget. And I think that God just like reminds me, like I need like that reminder from these women. And I'm like, okay.
Well, if this is a reminder, I felt so privileged to get a window into her schedule to like record this podcast. So like,
I will always make time for you.
Thanks, girl. But like, seriously, I think you do need to like take moments every now and then to like give yourself some applause. Cause like you've gotten here, girl, and it's still growing.
It's crazy.
I have like a sidebar. Okay. What would you say to the naysayers right now? Like what do
you know, it's really, crazy.
What do you feel like?
So the same people that told me, so let's start school.
We already know about the girls who wouldn't share their rulers in class. So
okay. So
did you give them jobs? I'm curious.
No.
What did you say to them? Or did you just not take their application?
I just literally took their resume and put it straight into the trash. Yeah. I was like, no.
That's, you know what? It goes back to burning bridges. Yo, it goes back to burning.
It's true. It's true. And honestly, that's why I will always
burn bridges.
Yeah, I will always treat the janitor with the same type of respect
as a CEO.
And then my mother instilled that in me from like day one. Like my mom too. Like, you know, and sometimes even at my where I live now, you know, like I'll see her work and I'm like, how's your day? And they're so thrown off that I'm like, wow, does no one acknowledge your existence? You know what I mean? So
they don't.
Me, like, I was tossing those resumes and I still toss them and they still come in. So
that's so funny.
You never know who you're going to say.
Keith's in the background like dying right now. But no, it's
true. It's true. You never know,
man. You cannot burn your bridges in terms of the way that you treat people.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if people disrespect you, you burn those bridges. For example, putting resumes in the bottom of the pile.
Like even like when I went to school, the people at school, like professors are like, this concept's not gonna work. This concept is like not like you have to know who your demo is. You need to, and then it's like then the school's awarding me as like alumni of innovation like 2 years later, and I'm like, you guys are the same people that told me this isn't gonna work out.
I bet that wasn't in your speech.
No, it wasn't. But like, but sometimes I say, I'm like, it's crazy. Like I only hire kids that go to my school. Like I made it a thing. I'm like, I will never hire someone that didn't go to George Brown. I'm very loyal to the college, and I still speak at panels. I still mentor kids. I still work, now professors are asking me to like teach classes with them, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, you're the same one that told me
this wasn't gonna work.
This wasn't gonna work. But it's these moments where it's like, oh, actually, okay, yeah,
it's aha moments. Okay, so tell me what you would say to the naysayers, like a one statement if you have one.
I would just like to thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, I would just like to thank you. You know what it is? Like,
respectful she is.
I think that, like, in life, like, people are always going to say no. But because of, like I said, like, I grew up poor. Like, I have nothing to lose. And if I had to take a gamble with my money that I've invested into this business, you know, I've come so far. Like, I did not come this far to come this far. And if you don't believe in the vision, you don't have to. Like, I'm going to find another route. Like, I will find a route. Like, there's tunnel vision here. Like, I have horse blinders on and I still have them on, and like, nothing's going to change that. And maybe this is not for you. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be, but it's for someone else.
And the thing about it, I think the thing that's so special about it is for some people. It's for the people that felt like nothing else was for them. And that's the thing that makes it like unique and special.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you know, I always think about the things that we're going to talk about before we like get together. Okay. And then it always goes in a different direction because I love sitting down with people and talking to them and diving deep. How would you know, it's funny because the topic is like mean what you say and say what you mean. And I was actually going to talk to you about how that correlates to your team. But you just said there, you know, something that really was important to you is hiring people that study where you studied and like
that believe in it. Like I for me, like when I was trying to build my team, something that's like really important to me is like, if this is just a job, I don't want you working for me. You know, like I need someone that like shares my vision, sees my mission statement and like believes it, like you care. Because if you just want to clock in and out, like you can go work at like, I don't know where, but not here.
Somewhere with a time clock.
Yeah. Like for me, like my girls are so loyal. You know, like I've built such a great team and they really are so passionate about what we do. And I always say we because I'm nobody without them. And yeah, like they really genuinely care. Like, you know, like sometimes they come to work or not even at work, it'll be like 10 o'clock. And some of them text me like, hey, so this order. And I'm like, girl, it's like 10 o'clock. Like take time for yourself. But they're so invested in my vision that like we as a team are very passionate. And like I say, like if it's not for everyone. And, you know, people that have been with me for a while. It's a home. It's a second home. We have late nights here. Like there's nights where we're here till 11. High volume nights. Yeah.
So I have other friends that, you know, are in like the fashion industry and, you know, creating something from scratch. And I think if I was going to ask you something on behalf of them or just people listening who are just even entrepreneurs in general, what advice would you give? Or like, I know that's a very cliche question, but like, what is something that's really important to you as advice to give to somebody? Like if you could sit down on like if you were giving like the raw, you know what I mean? I know we've kind of picked up on some of it in terms of the like,
I'm just like,
F the haters.
How raw am I gonna go?
F the haters and all that. But like,
no, for sure. For like advice, I would definitely say like, you know, starting a business is not cheap. I sacrificed a lot. You know, there was times where I always say my boyfriend, because he was literally there through my side through this whole thing. And he would be like, babe, like you gotta go buy some stuff for yourself. Like you don't shop. Because I became so obsessed with my numbers. You know, I was like, okay, my brand is gonna cost this much. Like at one point I wasn't even doing my nails. He's like, okay, Betsy, like you need to go do your nails. You're in Yorkville.
You're forgetting about yourself.
You're gonna be around people. You need to start doing your nails. Like you need to be obsessed with your numbers. You need to be obsessed with what you're spending your money on, because everything costs money. Like business cards, I was like, oh, Vistaprint, like I got a promo code. Like no, girl, like that stuff adds up. $30 like every 2 weeks adds up. Being obsessed with your numbers and being very clear on your vision. Like if you can go work for someone and make mistakes on their dime, study that, you know. But that's the thing, is that people don't want to sacrifice for long-term longevity. Like I find that people don't want to put in the work for long-term longevity. Like I waited 3 years before I opened a store, you know, and like I was making mistakes on someone else's dime. I was studying her like a dog. Like I would watch her interaction with her clients. You know, what is she saying wrong? What would I change about this situationship that they got going on? Like where, you know, why aren't they spending more money? Like, how would she convert
How
more
could she
sales?
have turned this into more sales?
Yeah, like, how do I get them
Yep.
back here? What could she have done to, like, make this a better experience for the client?
Yeah.
So those are things that I would say, like, go work for someone else, and, like, don't be ashamed to have another job. Like, even when I had the shop open, I was still working in clubs, but that started backfiring on me because no one would take me serious, I felt.
Yeah.
And I was still working in clubs.
Customer wise, you mean? Or people didn't take...
people in general, like, that, like, knew I was opening a store, like, oh, she's still working in the club. And
how serious could the store be?
Yeah, and, like, there's nothing wrong with that, because I was clearing cash. Like, at the end of the night, I was like, okay, I'm going to, like, buy another, 2-3 machines.
Like, this is a sewing machine. This is a thread.
Yeah, I was like, hey, let me make sure I'm comfortable before I quit. But I worked another job. Like, I didn't care. Like, at the point, I didn't care, but it was frustrating.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I was exhausted. Like, my team would literally see me come to work after going to bed at 4 a.m. and be here at 11. They're like, I don't know how you do it. And then I'd work another night shift and be back here at 11.
Yeah.
But don't be ashamed to have another side hustle.
To get to where you want.
Yeah, and listen, like, when the day came for me to quit the club, like, I didn't even give my 2 weeks notice. Like, I was like, I'm done. I'm throwing my pouch out tonight.
Yeah.
My heels are going in the trash. I was done. And, like, if you know me, then you knew, like, you could see it on my face. Like, I didn't enjoy working in nightlife.
You were checked out?
Oh, I was never checked in, I would say. Like, I never checked in. I was just doing it because I was like, there's no other job that's going to allow me to work 2 nights, make the cash I make, be in school full time, interning part time, working out, and have a partial, like, social life.
Yeah.
So, like, hustle. Like, you need to be able to hustle, like, show up for yourself. It's not an easy route. Like, it's not for everyone. And there's days that I wake up and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I should have just, like, worked for someone. I have my days, but I also, like, have my other days where I'm like, wow, like, we banged this out today. Like, we did great.
It was worth it. It was worth it. You know, it's funny that you said that about show up for yourself, because on my last episode when I was talking with Margarita, we were talking about, like, no one's going to do this hustle for you. Like, you have to do the hustle for yourself.
Like, absolutely. Like,
you'll have a team, you'll have support, you'll have your intimate relationship.
No one's going to care about your, like, listen, I love my team. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I can't hold them accountable for this stuff. Like, I can't hold them accountable for, like, all of this, you know?
I'm literally, I've been thinking about what I'm doing while I'm listening to you talk, and I'm just, like, in awe. I was like, I don't know how much time. He's, like, flagging me out what time we're at, but I've just been in awe. Are we going to be a longer
episode? Like,
this is a great episode. No, I've just been in awe listening to you talk, because I feel like I've said, I've known you for some time, and I've, like, watched the progress of this.
You really have.
I really have.
It's crazy. Like, you were there from, like,
it's crazy because we literally became friends right at that, like, very integral moment of, like, this becoming this. And I don't see you often. I don't get to talk to you all that often, but I know that as soon as, like, we connect, it's always the same energy.
Always.
And
I don't see anyone often. That's another thing. Starting a business, you're not going to see nobody.
Yeah, that's good advice. You know, your relationship.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing, right? Like, I highly respect that, and I know what you're doing, and I know that, like, when I reach out to you with purpose and with, you know, even just to check in, like, you know, I've been in Yorkville before, like, buying an ice cream or something, and, like, run down and just, like, wave from the window, right? Because it's like, I know you're with customers, I know you're working, I know you're with your team. Sometimes I just want to, like, check in on you, but I know how much work you've put into this. So, like, I'm literally, like, in awe of you sometimes. Aww. Like, I just I tell people about you know, so just seeing this come to what it is so exciting. And, you know, what would you say, I think I want to know, like, what would you say you've learned about people during this process? And I know we've touched on some of the, like, negatives, like the naysayers and stuff, but, like, what have you, like, really learned about people, whether it's your team or your clientele base or just, like, yourself? Like, what is something you learned about people through this process of, like, building this brand and building who you are as a business owner?
Oh, that's a really good question. Never been asked that. I would say working with people. So let's go that route first. I'm the type of person where I always expected people to be on my level. You know what I mean? I had to learn to be patient.
That's me too, girl.
Like, I had to learn to be patient because not everyone is going to learn the way I learned or knows the way I am. Working with a very wide range of team members, like, you know, like managing someone who's older than me. Like, it was weird. I was like, you're like my mom. Like, like, how do I manage my mom? So it's like learning to be patient, learning to have that understanding that not everyone has my upbringing and my experiences in life, and like everyone is different.
Things the same
exactly.
way as you,
like being more patient. Like I would say patience is a thing, because my life has been a fire drill. Like it's like go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Or even like COVID, like I was still like go, go, go. Like there was no like stop,
take a moment,
you know, like there was no stop. Like even on vacation, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta get to the gym by 7, and my girls are like, yo, we're on vacation.
And
like,
you turn vacation sometimes into photo shoots,
into work, like, all the time. Yeah, girl, expense that. It's a business expense. No, but I would say like learning to be patient is something, and understanding. I think dealing with people, I've had to be more sensitive. I think that I'm a very like brute person. Like I'm very
I
like,
wouldn't say that, but you are straightforward.
I'm very straightforward. So it's like I had to learn to like soften my edges up a bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm dealing with very different women. Like I'm dealing with very sensitive women, or just women that are being and choosing, not being, but choosing to be vulnerable with me and my team in the shop. Yeah. Embracing them as they are. You know what I mean? Like instead of like who they need to be. Like that's something I had to really learn.
I'm curious about something when we're talking about this. I mean, obviously when you hire your team, you're dealing with people that you're hiring them for their experience, you're hiring them, you know, for where they studied, you're hiring them for their skill set and all these things. How do you assess who they are as a person, and like, you know, how that's going to play into the way that they're dealing with your clientele the way that you would? Because I think about, you know, when I do my weddings and events, it's so funny because our like work ethic sounds so similar, but like I'm the same exact way. Like one of my, I wouldn't say a weakness, but one of my areas for opportunity that I always say in an interview or in any, you know, in any kind of conversation like that, is that I have to remind myself that people don't learn the same way as me and don't process things always the same way as me. And I always expected people to like be on the same level as me, but I have to, you know, somebody might be more visual, or somebody might need more, you know, ask more questions. And so when I think about the people that I hire to work with me when I work on weddings and stuff, which is another intimate moment, right? Like for a bride,
that happens like once, if it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
hopefully
it's an intimate day. It's and you poured all your money into it, right? And so when I have people work with me, like I need to know that if I left you with my clients to go help them with their photos, or, you know, in the bridal suite and the bride's having a moment, like I need to know that you're going to handle them the same way that I would handle them, with, you know, a certain type of, you know, care and like I can't even think of the word, but like, you know, there's just a way that you need to be dealing with people a certain way. So when you hire people, like how are you able to pull that out of them to know that they're going to take care of these people?
I have this thing where if you're going to work for me, you're going to intern.
Okay. Love it.
And I think I read this in Steve Harvey's Think Like a Man or something book.
I've read those books, so I'm curious where you're going with this.
It was like he had this thing about car insurance. Like he got a job at a car dealership.
Sales, yeah.
And you only get insurance and benefits after 3 months.
Okay.
And that stuck with me when I read that book, and I was like, wow, like I want to see how serious you are. Like you really want to work here? Like you're going to intern here, you know, like you're going to intern for 3 months. Yeah. Sometimes they do it part-time. If they want to do full-time and do it quicker, sure. Yeah. If you're passionate and you show up and you show out for me, I'll hire you. Yep. But I need to know that you're serious. Yep. So anyone
and that is a filter for people. People start to show their ass when
3 months. That's all I need. And 3 months in, it's either a yay or a nay. And you know, almost everyone has been a yay. Like there's been 2 nays, but yeah, you're serious.
You know who you are if you're listening. You know who you are.
But no, for me, like I can read people. Like I'm really big on energy, and I think working in nightlife, Like I can filter
through the bullshit.
I can filter through everything really quick. So for me, like,
I'm laughing because I've known you on so many levels that I've also seen you working in the nightlife.
Yeah, I've dealt with all
no
of it.
bullshit.
Yeah, it's like,
do you have your credit card or not?
Are you gonna pay or are you not gonna pay?
Yeah.
No. So for me, like, you know, and the women that work here, I went to school with, like, you know, Alessia has been with me since day one. She was in my program. She lent me her ruler. No, I'm joking.
No, for real though. But she resonated. It resonated.
She's laughing.
The relationship resonated with you, right?
It did. She was great. You know, like, if you're good and you're sweet and you're respectful, like, there's no area for you to disrespect anyone here.
Yeah.
But if you're not serious, this is not for you. And like, it is what it is. Like, I will, like, people are usually like, oh my gosh, Betsy. And I'm like, it is what it is. Like, this is my child. Like, I'm not going to share my home with you if you're not serious.
Yeah. I agree. I'm the exact same mentality.
I can read people real quick.
Yeah, you actually,
real quick.
Well, thank God that I've lasted this long as your friend.
Yeah, girl, we're good.
Okay, so I kind of like theme this whole episode off of this like beautiful you that you have going on here. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the practice what you preach, the, you know, mean what you say. What would be like a favorite statement, a you statement for you? Whether it's like something that you want to tell somebody or just like a slogan or just like your favorite quote. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Oh my gosh, how are you doing this to me?
Okay, take a second and think. Yeah.
I like here, like, I like to say, like, I want women, like the whole Ūnika, like people are always like Ūnika. I'm like, no girl, it's Ūnika, like it's all about you.
And the word means unique, right?
Yeah,
that's
so
where it's derived from.
Latin.
Yep.
But I switched the C for the K just
because she's cool like that.
K for cool, capital K. But yeah, it was all about like you and embracing you for who you are versus like who you need to be. So it's like the whole custom concept, like everybody is different. And I wanted women to really embrace themselves. So like everything is made for you here. Like, I want you to embrace yourself.
See,
like,
I knew she would turn that around like, real quick.
Like,
you weren't stuck. I should have been a rapper.
Yo,
she wasn't stuck on that.
I should have been a rapper. No, but it's just like it's the whole concept of you and embracing you for who you are versus like who you need to be, or who you feel like you need to be.
Okay. What's next for you? What's next for you?
Should I tell people? Like, I don't like to share.
Well, tell me what's just come of the brand. Like before we end this episode, I just want to hear like what's going on with the brand right now.
At the brand shop. So I mean, we recently relaunched our whole website.
Okay.
She
officially has a website that's
functional. No, it's always been functional, but my website was like all over the place, and like, we would shoot campaigns in like Cuba or like wherever, and like
throw stuff on there.
It was just like mishmashy, and I was like, no, like I want a clean website. So we redid everything. Something that I like to do as a brand is always use like real women on my site. Like, I don't hire skinny models.
I love it. The lookbooks look incredible.
Yeah, like
girl.
Nothing wrong with skinny models. I used to be a skinny model. But I like to put my suits on real women.
Yeah.
And I don't like to touch up my women that I use. So they are raw. You can see what a suit looks like on a medium body or a 2X, 3X model. We recently did all our styles up to 4XL, and we recently converted fully to Carvico, which is a sustainable swimwear material made from fishnets and ghost gear.
So that's what I was gonna say. Mean what you say and say what you mean. It goes back to even like your sustainability.
Yeah,
you know,
like
aspect.
people, I think that like brands now are becoming more woke with like what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
but that's always been something for me. Like, you know, it like really bothers me when these girls are like, oh my god, I love vacation, I love the ocean, and they're like wearing like a suit that's like made for like $3. I'm like, girl, like, you're the reason my kids are not going to have an ocean. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
like what's
you're not educating yourself. But I think that brands now are waking up because they're like, oh wow, like, you know, you're
being held accountable now.
Like there might not be fish in the ocean in 40 years. So Carvico was always something that I wanted to do. From the beginning, I've used Carvico, and not a lot of people knew about it. They're like, wait, what? And we've always handmade everything. Like, my team literally makes everything here. Like, nothing is made anywhere else but here. So committing to sustainability and practicing what we preach. But what's next that I'm really excited about is we need to scale the custom process. So I'm trying to... can't believe I'm sharing this, but I'm going to share it. I'm digitizing the concept. Yeah, that's the next step, because I feel like I'm doing like virtual fittings. Like the other day I did a virtual fitting in Dubai, which was so funny to me. I was like virtually fitting someone in Dubai. I was virtually fitting someone in New York, in Miami.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And like, sometimes I'm like, how did you find us? I'm like, you know, and it's working.
And it's sad that they can't find it in their own.
Yeah. And they're just like, I'm like, you live in Miami. Like, you should have
That's Swimsuit Central.
Yeah. So we're coming up with a customization kit.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that. And we're excited to start fitting like internationally. Like we were already doing it, but now it's like weird locations. Like I have like Dubai was really, that threw me off. I was like, wait, what? Is this happening?
Well, I can't wait to see where this continues to go. Like, and I'm hoping for stores in other cities and other parts of the world. But
I'm manifesting that. I've been manifesting that for a while, and like I definitely want to get to the US. That's like my next step, and like you know, bringing
COVID will not stop her.
Bringing in an investor is like definitely my next step. I feel like I've scaled this as much as I could myself. So I'm ready to like sell my baby. Not all of her, but a portion, because I'm ready
to grow.
Yes.
Okay. I literally could talk to you all day. No, I literally could talk to you all day. I don't even know if I'm going to do, let's do like two this or that, and then we'll close this episode.
All right, shuffle it.
Okay.
Shuffle it so I know it's real.
I feel like it's shuffle. I'm a terrible. We're watching this live. I'm a horrible card shuffler. Okay. Okay,
gosh.
this is like not really that deep, but
okay,
like
choose a different one then.
All right, we want some good stuff. Okay, since she's all about aesthetic.
Oh God, no, I'm really.
I asked Margarita this question on the last episode because she was all about aesthetic. When you cut a sandwich,
diagonal.
Do you cut it straight or on a diagonal?
Diagonal.
I knew she was like the creative kind.
No, I eat the crust though. I'll tell you that.
I eat the crust. Okay. I'm a crust eater,
you know?
too. Okay, let me see. Let's find one more.
Wow, I was really scared for these questions.
No,
you asked me about sandwiches. Like,
no, the questions are pretty conservative. Okay, let me find something unique.
Unique.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, this one, you work for yourself, so this one's not really applicable. Would you rather go back 100 years or go forward 100 years?
Oh, I'd go back. Forward's not looking good.
What would you do
right
if
now.
you went back? I'm curious.
I would love to. People always laugh at me when I say this. I would love to see the medieval times.
You know what? That's like. Would you like? Would you be into the fashion
castle.
too?
No, not even like the fashion. Just like that whole like era of like
riding horses and like fighting.
Yeah, just like the castles and like the luxurious dinners. Like obviously, I would not be a peasant in that era. I'd like to be a princess.
Well, you know, we can go to medieval times. Well, when COVID ends, we can go there and get a glimpse of it. But
like even the like costume and like. People are like 70s, 80s. I'm like, medieval times.
No, she's like, take me all the way back.
I want to see that whole like.
What would you do differently?
In the medieval times?
What would you do differently in history?
In life? In history?
If you could change one thing, the ocean, I'm sure it would be.
For sure. I think that I would definitely educate. Like, I wish people were more educated on what's going on. Like, it's a serious problem. Mm-hmm. Like, people think it's a joke. And I'm like, you guys want to go on vacation? Like, you think COVID took vacation from you? Like, you guys might not have vacation.
COVID is not the end of the world. There's so much more. It's so much more happening around the world.
Just read. Like, I know. Get off social media. I know. Like, listen to a podcast. Maybe
listen to this podcast.
Maybe this one. No, but just like educating and stimulating their brains.
Yeah.
Like, I do it, you know, I hold myself accountable to like do a course once a month.
Wow, good for you, girl.
I make time for that to just, you know, stimulate my brain, because I've been out of school for so long. Like, I feel like I've been doing this for so long, and I like to think of other things as well. I'm like, okay, what else can I learn? Like, what else can I continue to learn?
And how can you continue to still be engaged in society?
Exactly. Like, you know, like what's going on in the world?
Especially if you have your blinders on like you do as a business owner, and someone's so focused on the growth of it, you kind of tune things out subconsciously.
Yeah, so you like have disconnected.
You have
so
to
I'm
choose
like,
to do it.
Let's reconnect in certain ways. So yeah, I try to like stimulate my brain and like read books, and just like learn new things and take time to read articles outside of just mainstream media, just like in general, like, you know, educate yourself on something else.
Okay, tell everybody where they can find you, because
where they can find me. Well,
tell them about the website.
Live here. You can find me here. No,
you can find her in Yorkville.
Yeah, you can find me in Yorkville. You can find us online. So www.ūnika ūnikaswim.com. Our
I
Instagram
love
handle is Ūnika Swim, at Ūnika Swim. My
And if
Instagram
you just want to
handle,
find her,
yeah, it's Betsy Campos.
Pretty
Pretty
straightforward.
plain Jane. Surprise.
She's no plain Jane.
And I'm in the shop. I mean, unfortunately, we're closed right now, but I'm always around.
Yeah.
And I'm always never not working. So, yeah.
thank you so much for this episode.
I just want to say, like, I'm really proud of you as well.
Thank you.
Because it's a lot of work to start something up and to actually fall through with it. So I'm gonna hold you accountable.
Thanks,
hold
girl.
you
Accountable.
accountable. Yeah, no, I'm excited for you to continue to interview people and learn from different industries and pick different brains.
I literally have no idea what this is going to evolve into, but I'm
never
so
know.
excited about it. And the fun thing for me is sitting down and having these conversations. Clearly we don't want them to end, but like I'm excited to like come back to the drawing board with some of the people that I've already been able to sit down with and continue to sit down with at some point later down the road and talk about the growth and talk about the changes. Well, we need to do this outside of the podcast, but like thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Oh my god, girl, I'm so thankful to have you. For everyone who's listening, you can definitely check it out on YouTube at 818 and Conversate, but follow on Instagram 818 and Conversate. This is streaming on literally every major like podcast platform.
Huge. Oh my gosh, Mom, you're gonna hear me.
It was some work. Yeah, Mom, she didn't stay as Miss Brazil, but she's on this podcast, so check it out. Thank you, babe. I love you so much. I appreciate it. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
You too.
And we're done. We're out. Peace.